Hey, it's Tim, Pickup Truck Plus SUV Talk, and welcome to a snowy, windy, and cold Iowa. I'm at the Iowa I-80 gas station, the big one over here. And I have my new 2023 Chevy Silverado. This is what I'm reviewing for the channel for the year. I buy a truck every year, good business. And I do a bunch of videos on it. And so in this video, I thought, let's do a fuel economy test, because I can actually really do this in this trip, because I still have about 500, 600 miles to go to get home, which I won't get home tonight because all the roads are closed because a blizzard went through. So I'm driving in the worst possible conditions. I'm driving basic uphill, 80 miles an hour into a 20 to 30 mile an hour wind with 50 mile an hour wind gusts. It's currently snowing. It's 33 degrees. And I have a winter blend diesel fuel. I have everything working against me. So I thought this is a great time to see what the worst I can do. And then the summer, I'll do some more testing and we'll see what the best I can do. So currently my trip odometer says I have 23.1 mile per gallon. Now, when I drove it up, when I bought the truck in Fort Wayne and drove it to my editor Jill's house in Chicago, I was getting 29.6. But I've been driving across Illinois to Iowa in these conditions, and so it's going down as I drive. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drive over, I'm going to fill this thing up. I'm not going to do video outside because it's freaking cold, and then I'm going to turn this camera on after I reset the trip odometer, and if we get down the road, I'll give you an update. We're doing fuel economy, and then I'm hoping to get to Omaha tonight, which I should be able to get there. I think it's about 4 hours. Well, it's 4 hours away, 286 miles. And I'll give you an update when I get to Omaha tonight. We'll see where we're at, and then when I get further down the road, we'll fill this up again. So currently I have a quarter tank, 139 miles of range, and I have 476 miles in the odometer. This has got a 24-gallon gas tank, and I'm in two-wheel drive mode. So I think those are all the variables that matters. Out the door price was $66,000. Retail price $67,000. Got some discounts, employee pricing, taxes included, all kind of deal. So let's go ahead and fill it up and let's get down the road, because I want to get into a warm hotel room bed and forget about this driving today. Oh, it's not awesome. All right, hold on. I want to stop this video right here because most people don't make it to the end of the video. So to make sure I tell you what happened after the sequence. So I did not make it to Omaha. I made it to Council Bluffs, which I'll tell you more in the video. But as I was driving the rest of the way home, they actually closed my road here coming home. And so I had to pull over in Potter, Nebraska. The navigation told me to take these back roads. And I did. I took one, and I plowed through a couple snow drifts till I got to a snow drift I couldn't get through. And thank goodness I had four-wheel drive low, because I was rocking and sinking in the snow, and it was not good. There was like one farmhouse like 2 miles away or something. I mean, it was a disaster. And I just bought this truck. No snow shovel, no snow brush, no boots, things like that I needed, because I just flown in, picked up, and was driving home. So really interesting situation there. Roads closure. I'll show you some footage on the screen. I drove on I-80, show you how bad it was. They actually closed I-76 to Denver, and I ended up going into Wyoming and going around the long way. It took me another hour and a half to get home that night, and the conditions were just absolutely terrible. Yeah, so that's what I was driving into, to give you some idea as you keep watching this video. Let's get back to it. All right, just filled up. I wanted to give a quick update from the road, talk about a few more things. One thing that's interesting in this diesel engine, as you can kind of see on your screen as I'm driving through, again, snowy, nasty temperatures, is that the fuel economy climbs the more you drive, which is kind of fascinating. I was watching this last night quite a bit when I was driving back to Chicago, and it just incrementally gets better and better and better the more I drive, which is kind of cool. It's just something different. Usually I seem like fuel economy starts off like, I don't know what it's going to be, and it just stays there. This one gets better and better with more miles on it. Now, I don't know what's going to happen. 18.6 now. I don't know what's going to happen with the temperatures out here, whether I'll get better fuel economy as I go. It's questionable. So this is supposed to get 24 combined, 22 city, 27 highway. Like I said, last night I got 29. Today I'm going to be lucky to get like probably mid-20s. I can tell you though, I drove the same route a couple years ago with a Ford M50 Power Boost, and we got actually snowed in Iowa City because it's similar conditions. And I want to say that trip, you know what, I'll put the number down below, but I know it's in the teens. I can go watch that video real fast when I get back to the hotel room. And then I also drove the Toyota Tundra I bought in 21. Yeah, 21 I bought, and so I drove that home last December from Houston, and I got high teens in fuel economy there too. So if this delivers, in my view, mid-20s, and those delivered under 20, then it kind of proves this diesel is even better in cold conditions in these situations. Now, this is the LZ0 diesel. It's their terminology for it, General Motors is. This is basically the second generation of the 3-liter inline-6 Duramax diesel. Now, this Duramax diesel, this generation's got more torque, a little more horsepower, a little bit better reliability. That took away some of the complexity on the engine as they had more learning and more reports from owners. They were able to simplify a little bit. It should help with more reliability. Has it been an unreliable vehicle? The first generation unreliable? No. Have people had problems? Yeah, there's been a few cases where people had problems with the first generation, been in the shop for a while. And they've gone through, and GM has looked at those problems. They had a long crank, slow start situation. They fixed that. And so they've been, General Motors has, the engineering team has gone through and made changes to this engine for reliability and to fix some of those common issues that came up with the first generation. So I'd feel pretty good with the second generation, in my opinion, as far as overall reliability. I'm not that concerned. Made it to a 10-speed transmission. Again, more torque, more horsepower. Now, one thing I need to point out is this may say Duramax on the hood, and they call it Duramax engine. This is not a heavy-duty diesel. It has nothing in common with it. It's much quieter. It's meant for fuel economy, not towing. It's much smoother. It's much more fuel efficient, and it's cheaper. So in a Duramax diesel, in the 6.6 with the heavy duties, you spend about $10,000 more on the upcharge there. In this case, $995. That's it for the better fuel economy. Oil changes. This doesn't take the massive amounts of oil like the 6.6 Duramax does. This is a 3-liter. It's an inline 6. It takes about 5 quarts, I believe, is what I saw online and talked to people. So, and the fuel changes aren't as expensive as the heavy duties. So I think that's the one problem with this truck, is that people have gotten so used to this diesel idea and what diesels were, and work trucks and towing only and big, loud and expensive and smoky and noisy and nasty, that we're having to get people to do this mind shift to say, no, that's not at all the facts on this engine in this truck. You know, I bought it because I know it tows pretty well for general, like 5,000–6,000 pounds, even at 8,000, I think it's 13,000 pounds max. I never tow max half tons. I think that's just ridiculous. So a camper, a boat, fantastic. I have 1,683 pounds of payload, plenty of payload to haul what I need for this type of vehicle in this class. As far as I don't have 3,000 pounds like I would a heavy duty, because again, this is not a heavy duty truck. So I got fuel economy, I got smooth, powerful, I got quiet, I got the things that I want from an engine at this stage of my life, and good fuel economy without having to, again, pay that huge price increase for Duramax, or turn it off when I get into the drive-thru because the drive-thru clerk can't hear me. You know, I mean, those are things that the older diesels would do. So this one is much different. So like I said, I just want to get down the road, give you a few updates here. I'm going to do 75 miles an hour. It's again back to 18.6, but I would wager that's going to keep climbing, hopefully. At this point, with this kind of conditions, this weather, it's more about when I make it home and will I make it home with the roads than it is fuel economy. But I thought it'd be interesting. This is the worst fuel economy I probably can get in this truck, and I'm just really curious what the number is. 18.7 now. So yeah, let's keep on going down the road, and I get to Omaha in 4 hours, and I'll give you an update then. All right, just stopped in Des Moines. The weather's really turning, so I'm going to drive a little slower. And I did put it in 4-wheel drive auto as I was driving. So let me see what the situation's going on. I got parking sensors covered, which is kind of nice. I don't have adaptive cruise control in this truck, and I don't have some of the stuff because it won't work anyways. It's covered with snow and ice, and you can't use it. But looking at the fuel economy, right now we're at 20.4. So again, it keeps going up, and I have it now in auto 4-wheel drive because of the slick conditions and snow building. So I got a couple hours to get to Omaha. I think I can get there tonight, and that's probably as far as I'm gonna push it. I'm just gonna take my time, drive a little slower, a little more defensively, trying to get there, because I don't want to end up inside the road. Screw that. Drive slower, be defensive. Let's get there and see what we're gonna do as far as in the morning, as far as the fuel economy. But I don't anticipate this getting better or worse. Maybe I'll update when I get back to the hotel. Maybe we'll see what those numbers are, because I still have 125 miles to go. All right, good morning. It is a balmy 19 degrees here in Council Bluffs. So I thought, let's do an early morning startup and kind of recap what happened yesterday. So let's check out how long this diesel takes to turn on. So I'm going to put foot on the brake, push the start button. There it is. In these temperatures, that's what it shows. Ice possible, drive with care. Yeah, obviously. All right, so it's starting up. And then something you'll notice is there isn't like a high idle. It's only 1,000 RPMs. Again, this is not a heavy duty diesel, so they don't do high idle in this. They just do, well, regular idle. So when you do a heavy duty diesel, when it's really cold like this, it'll say high idle. You can press your brake or your gas and it breaks idle down. So basically, it idles about 1,000 RPMs faster to get the engine to warm up quicker. But in this case, no high idle. Now, there's a question last night. I was reading some of the comments on the video I put out on the what I bought, so I want to know what it sounds like. So I thought, okay, I'm gonna have to wait for this warm up a little bit because I have to get my stuff together. And real fast, let's do an update on mile per gallon. So what did I tell you last night? 20.8 mile per gallon, but this is what it sounds like outside. And even if I take my mic and put it next to it, yeah, that's all you're hearing. So then when you get inside, the nice part is inside. I mean, you can hear it a little bit, but it's not like it's exceedingly loud. And then yeah, that's all it sounds like inside the cabin. So not very loud in here with that diesel, because again, they have tons of noise stopping, noise canceling materials in here. So the idea here is that you're not gonna be able to hear this diesel as much as you do other diesels. It's very quiet, which is part of the reason why the belt, this oil pump belt, is in the back of this engine. And yes, you have to take the transmission down 150,000 miles to inspect the belt. The reason that belt is back there, not a chain, is for that sound right here, to have a quiet cabin. So pro and con there. All right, here we go. Got outside of Grand Island. I'm going to gas up because I have 59 miles of range. So let's talk about this. So this is what the screen shows currently. 59 miles of range, and I have 19.5 mile per gallon, and I have driven 430 miles, average speed 66.4 miles. So in reality, I've been driving as best I can to 75 to 80, battling the winds. It's blowing about 30 to 40 miles an hour with 50 mile wind gusts. It's basically moving me about a half lane over when it hits just right. So really terrible conditions. I did have managing editor Joe Simonello look up the other data. So on the Tundra, when I drove that back from Houston through Oklahoma through nasty winds last year, that was 16.5. And the Ford Power Boost, the M50 hybrid, I drove that back from Dearborn. We had 18.5 before we hit the snowstorm 2 years ago in Iowa City. And then I can tell you, the fuel economy went downhill. We were exhausted by the time we got home. And I think it was around 17 miles per gallon. So in a gas vehicle, I should be about 2.5 to 3 miles per gallon worse than this diesel in these conditions. But I'm really interested to see two things. Number one, I want to see how close the pump is with this number, how close we're going to do the math. But number two, I can't wait to do this trip in the summertime, because my gut feeling is this will produce even better fuel economy versus gas engines do, especially the small displacement V6s. They will do versus this on a high road trip. V8, I've been very consistent with fuel economy. The high displacement V6s, my numbers are all over the place. But this has been pretty consistent. I'd had it at the 21 and driving into the hotel last night because the road conditions were bad. So the slower you go, the better you get fuel economy. That's understood. But I was really surprised to see 19.5. I thought it'd be even worse, frankly, because the conditions are pretty bad. It's 24 degrees out right now. You can see the wind blowing and stuff like that. The other thing that happened on the road trip was, I don't know if you can see that sign all the way over there, but it says $3.79 a gallon for diesel, $289 for super unleaded 87. 88 is 284. 88 is like it's on the website. I can't remember exactly what it is. It's a version of a marketing term for an ethanol kind of fuel base. So you have less than $1 difference here. But as of driving in Chicago, it's $5 a gallon for diesel. As happens in Chicago, fuel prices always are higher in the bigger cities. As I've been driving, I'm seeing diesel drop every like hour. It seems like it goes down a nickel, a dime, a penny, whatever. And so $3.79, that's not bad at all. So I'm going to look at my cost per mile here too, because that's very important. So let me go outside. I'm going to fill up. I'm not going to fill them outside because it's freaking cold. And the biggest thing to do when you're filling up, another pro tip I have for you guys with diesels, pair of gloves. Diesel is an unrefined fuel, and son of a gun, it can stink on your hands for a while. So I always carry a gas glove with me, but I do diesel just to make sure. Plus, these gas pumps aren't always the cleanest as far as diesel goes. But yeah, I'm gonna go fill it up, and then I'm gonna reset everything and come back and tell you the final number. And well, the cost per mile, all that kind of stuff. We'll see how close the computer is. Okay, so it is still freezing outside. There's your update. I had 20.832 gallons of fuel used. So I went 434 miles divided by 20.832. I have the number on the screen on my phone says 20.833, and the number on my odometer says 19.5. So I'm off by 1 mile per gallon better. So I'll take it. And by the way, at $3.79 a gallon, I put 20 gallons of fuel in this, and it was $79 bucks. I kind of like that. Okay, hold on. I forgot to talk about cost per mile. Let's talk about that. So we have $79.17. Double check that one more time. Make sure that's what it said. Down to the number $79.14. Excuse me. $79.14 divided by 434 miles equals 18 cents a mile, basically. 18.2 cents a mile. I can tell you, I did the math the other day on the better, like 30 mile per gallon, and it was even down to like 15 cents per mile. For this high country, it's $9.95 more for the diesel engine, and all I got to factor in is DEF. And they tell me these days that DEF is really going to be added more so at your oil changes, not anytime else, except for when you're towing a lot. When you're towing a lot, you use more DEF. So that's kind of the equation there. But let's, yeah, that's interesting. Let's get back to the rest of the video. This has a 24-gallon tank, which has been very controversial. People want a bigger fuel tank with this, but I mean, I'm getting almost 500 miles of range, if not better, depending on the fuel economy I'm getting that day, out of a 24-gallon tank, and only filling up for 80 bucks because it's a smaller tank. Don't really have a problem with that either. So what's our final thoughts here? You've followed this channel a lot, but talked a lot about this engine. I've interviewed Chief Engineer John Bart a few times. I've talked about different live streams he's done. I've talked about in different videos. I've really liked this engine, and so I really put my money where my mouth was, right? So I bought one of the engine I've been talking about, and it is perfect. It is powerful, it's smooth, it's quiet inside the cabin. It's running right now. The truck's running right now. This is what you hear. Me. You don't hear the engine. I get good fuel economy. And yeah, and I haven't used very much DEF. So everyone wants to throw DEF in this equation. Like, you got to add 3 gallons of DEF every time you fill up, the kind of situations. I've heard some really interesting comments. So DEF fluid, let me put a little video on the screen here when I do this. But currently it shows I have used one little line. So it used to be full, and then as I drove, I guess I lost 2 lines of DEF. That's it. I still got a lot of DEF left. 910 miles, so I'm almost at 1,000 miles. And so, I'm not really using much DEF fuel. I'm not really using much fuel. I'm having smooth driving, powerful, quiet, everything I want it to be. So overall, my initial thoughts on this road trip and first time driving it home, I'm pretty pleased. I can't wait to do some road trips. I can't wait to do towing. I can't wait to talk more about this engine and really go through the details, what's new, what's different. I got a lot of stuff coming on that. But yeah, overall, pretty happy. Well, I'm gonna go get some supplies, hit the John, and then head home. Hopefully I'll be there sometime today. But for more, check out the videos over here, website down below. As always, thanks for watching. I will see you down the road.